everyone, it's Pepsi. In today's video, I'm going to be going over the fastest and best grinding methods for corrupt energy and crypt keys in the Halloween event here on Haunted Island. If you guys do not know about the 2025 Halloween event in Roblox Wild Horse Island, I recommend checking out my event overview video. It'll be linked in the top right hand corner of the screen right now, but that video goes over a huge overview of everything you need to know for the Halloween event and the Halloween event update. It goes over all of the activities, rewards, and everything else that is included. But this video just goes over the best grinding methods for the event currency, which is your corrupt energy or your crypt keys. So this is the graphic for the Halloween event on the activities, and this is the math that went into this video. You will notice a couple things that I do want to go over, and I do want to make a couple disclaimers. The first is souls, regular souls that you can turn into the soul altar is not on this math worksheet or this graphic, because it is not really fair to collect data on them. It depends on whether you happen to come across one, if you're collecting them, or if you miss them, or if you have to chase them. And souls you can find on any island, including Haunted Island, or while you're doing any of these activities, so it's not really accurate to collect any data just on regular souls for the soul altar. The second thing you will notice is there is no first, second, third place for this graphic this time, and it's because we have so few activities with the Halloween event. You're pretty limited. It depends on what you're trying to achieve. So for example, I did the math for Spider's Nest and Pearl's Passage race, but those give you both crypt keys and corrupt energy. If you are just trying to grind crypt keys the fastest or corrupt energy the fastest, those are the slowest. But if you don't care which one you get, then those are in the middle. They are faster than trapped souls if you are just going for crypt keys, for example. So that's why it is not really fair of me to say this is first place, second place, third place. For this video, I do want to do that disclaimer. But there are timestamps in the video description and in the video bar down below, and I will be going over tips and tricks which I do think make it a lot faster. Your horse and your tack does affect how quickly you grind. So for all of these calculations, I am using a thoroughbred. It is an OG stat thoroughbred, so it has 100, 60, 55, 55, 85, and it is purebred, so it has 100% purity, letting me train these up to +5. For the tack, I always use prismatic tier for everything. I use a prismatic tier barrel saddle because it gives a lot of speed and a little bit of stamina. I use prismatic tier fancy dressage bridle because it gives some stamina. And I use prismatic tier horseshoes because it gives some stamina. So that is all of the attack and horse information. Again, I always mention this because it does affect how fast I do the activities. For these activities, again, I'm going to be going over each one by one. The first one I'm going to go over is Pearl's Passage race. And Pearl's Passage race, it takes about a minute to complete. For me, my fastest time you can see in the graphic is 53.5 seconds. And 53 seconds-ish. Yeah, 53.5. My first tip for Pearl's Passage race is use your toadstools. Toadstools are here with the autumn event, and the autumn event is still going on while the Halloween event is. So definitely use those toadstools. They give a 15% speed boost for 45 seconds, and it does make the race go a lot faster, like I'm doing right now. You can also feed your horse while you are riding it. So if you do forget to feed your horse before you start a race, or if you just want to multitask, this is a lot more efficient to feed while you are riding. My second tip is this race is not a loop. This race ends at a different place. If you want to grind this race, you have to either go back to the beginning or you have to reset your character. And my tip or trick would be reset your character as much as you are able to. You can reset in Wild Horse Islands every 2 minutes. So it should be about every other race. Every 2 races you do, you should be able to reset. Or not 2 races, every other race. Hopefully that makes sense. But every other race you should be able to reset. And that'll get you to the start of the race a lot quicker since the start of the race is right next to spawn. And last but not least, my last tip for the Pearl's Passage race would be while you are racing, if you come across souls like that, definitely collect them because you can use those at the soul altar and it does let you double dip or double grind at the same time. So you will come across some souls. Don't go out of your way because it will take more time out of the race. But if you are able to capture them, definitely grab them along the path of the race. So those are my tips and tricks for Pearl's Passage race. Once you get used to the pathway, it is pretty easy to grind. You get 1 crypt key every 28.57 seconds, and the same for corrupt energy because you get 3 of each time. So you will always have an equal amount of crypt keys and corrupt energy if you're just doing the race. If you don't care whether you're getting crypt keys or corrupt energy, the race gives you either a crypt key or corrupt energy every 14.29 seconds. So moving on to the next activity, this is the spider's nest. I do want to give a disclaimer. If you have arachnophobia, if you don't want to look at spiders, if you're not comfortable with it, skip this section of the video, skip to the next timestamp. So for the spider's nest, for those of you who are still here, you have 3 of them on the map. And I recommend don't swap between them. Go to one and stick to one. It doesn't really matter which one, but stick to one in my opinion. When you are doing the harvesting or fixing the spider webs, they aren't guaranteed to give you rewards. So like this time, I did not get a reward for harvesting that fly corpse. And let me fix this web real quick. I do have some lag because I'm playing on Sunday morning. That didn't give me a reward either. That one didn't give me a reward. Let me try one more harvest. While you are fixing, it does unequip your harvester, so you do have to re-equip it each time. There we go. That one gave me a corrupt energy. So you're not guaranteed to get rewards while doing those. What does guarantee give you rewards is these flies. And if you're just grinding the nest, I recommend doing the flies, even though they're annoying. So these don't consume lassos. I recommend using your largest lasso. That would be my next tip or trick. Use your largest lasso for these flies since they don't waste your lassos. And get up behind the flies to herd them back to the nest. You can do this on your horse. If it gets annoying, sometimes it's easier to do this off your horse too. It doesn't really matter, but you are guaranteed to get crypt keys or corrupt energy from the flies every single time. So I do like to do the flies the most for the nest. And these take a couple of seconds, like maybe a minute to respawn. So while these flies are respawning, that's when I will usually do the harvesting or fixing in the nest. Otherwise, I don't really focus on those, even though they seem faster, because they're not guaranteed to give you rewards. Whereas the flies will always give you 2 crypt keys or 2 corrupt energy each time. So now that those flies are herded and they are on cooldown and they haven't respawned yet, now I'm doing the spider webs and stuff. And you can see this one already respawned, so it is really easy for me to go back and start herding it again. So those would be my tips and tricks for the spider's nest. It depends on what you get more of, the corrupt energy or crypt keys. You don't get an even amount of them. When I was doing 10 minutes, I got 25 crypt keys and 22 corrupt energy, and that gave me 1 crypt key every 24 seconds, 1 corrupt energy every 27 seconds. And if you don't care which one you're grinding for, you get either for every 12.7 seconds. That was about my rate when I did 10 minutes. So that is the spider's nest. Moving on to the next activity, this is freeing trapped souls. So again, for this activity, you do have to go talk to the Ghost Vision NPC. I forget what they're called all the time. Eternal Souls to get Ghost Vision. And my first tip would be, if the screen effect annoys you, turn it off. This can be a really good indicator of when you're running out of Ghost Vision if you're not paying attention to the timer, but if it does hurt your eyes or it annoys you, please turn that off. My second tip would be, if you do have it off, check the timer, because when you end that 5-minute timer, and if you're just doing trapped souls, you want to get back to one of the Ghost Vision Eternal Souls to get Ghost Vision again as quickly as possible. Now, it doesn't really matter which trapped souls you try to go for, but I try to stick to the ones near groups because it's easier. So I use this Ghost Vision Eternal Soul next to the pumpkin patch, and there's a really good group of trapped souls here in the pumpkin patch. There's about 3 of them. Try to do this minigame as quickly as possible. Try not to miss them, but I feel like that's obvious for a tip or a trick. But there's about 3 in this pumpkin patch, so I do like this area. And then by the time they respawn, you're usually doing a couple others. So that's the second. There's a third one over here, and there's one back there. There's a 4th one back there. There's also 2 that are a little bit outside of the pumpkin patch. But stick to the ones in groups in general. That's always going to be faster because it's going to take you less time to go to them. And I will show the groups on the map real quick. Okay, so that was a couple minutes of doing this. There's a good group of trapped souls here at the pumpkin patch if you're next to this Ghost Vision. There's also a good group here, and by Pearl's Cauldron. There's also a good group by the Spider's Nest. Really, any of these areas work for this Ghost Vision. If you are using this Ghost Vision, there's a group about 3 at the Graveyard Crypt. There's a couple out here. There's a good group by the Soul Altar, and by the Trader and the Horses and the Spider's Nest. So stick to the ones you can find close together. Those are going to be the fastest. And once you finish with Ghost Vision, if you are tired of it, if you want to take it away, you can just talk to the Eternal Soul again, and they will take your Ghost Vision away. So I'm not doing the full 5 minutes, so I'm going to remove my Ghost Vision. The next, oh, and talking about the Trapped Souls, for 10 minutes, I got 40 Crypt Keys. And that would be 1 crypt key every 15 seconds. And last but not least, we have capturing corrupted pumpkins. So this one does use lassos. I tend to use my basic lasso because I don't want to waste tokens or any of my resources. But if you do not want to, it will be a little bit faster. Over 10 minutes, I got 56 corrupt energy from corrupted pumpkins, and that's 1 every 10.7 seconds about. So you can see what I'm doing here is I get a good group of them. There is a really good group right here in this triangle on the map of like 4. And I usually grab them and capture all of them. Even with my basic lasso, it does take multiple clicks, but I don't really care. I just don't want to waste the money. So I will get all of their bodies all together, and then I will drag their corpses one by one. While I am dragging these, you will see that I am avoiding the gates. So I will not drag them through these gates right here, because it is too narrow and you waste too much time. I drag them around the fences. I will show you the other places where I tend to drag the corrupted pumpkins from so I can avoid going through those gates that are very narrow. Each one you drag gives you about 2 or 3 corrupt energy, which is really good. And once you have a pile like this, by the time you drag all of these, they will respawn, which I do like. So you can see I'm dragging one by one into the pumpkin patch. And I will show you the other places I tend to drag them from, but this is my favorite group. There's also a good group over here, and there's a good group over here. Those are like the 3 groups of corrupted pumpkins I tend to go for. I don't really go in other areas because, I mean, I don't think they spawn in other areas, but because now they're like closer. But in general, if you're going to any of them that are further away, you're wasting more time. So I dragged 3, and these are already respawning, and I was dragging them pretty slowly. So I can already capture these again. While you are dragging, you can also capture them while you're dragging. So I will be clicking while I drag the one that I have. So I have another one to pick up later. Let me show you the other areas I tend to go for corrupted pumpkins. If you're not going over that group, there is a good group right over here. This way, you can drag them over this hill and into the patch right here. So that is super fast as well and a lot easier than the gates. And then if you're doing any of these pumpkins, instead of dragging them through the gates, drag them over this giant hill over here in between the trees. And that's a lot faster, in my opinion. So those are all my tips and tricks for pumpkins. Pumpkins are the fastest. Again, 1 corrupt energy every 10.71 seconds is what I was able to do. But it's the fastest if you just want to turn in corrupt energy. So for me personally, if you are curious, what I do is for corrupt energy, I do capturing corrupted pumpkins. And then for the crypt keys, I will either do the trapped souls or the spider's nest. I don't really love doing the race because I like to save my toadstools. And the races get repetitive, but I do like either doing trapped souls, even though it's not the fastest for crypt keys. Or Spider's Nest. I mean, Trap Souls is the fastest for if you're just focusing on Crypt keys, but Spider's Nest is faster if you're doing both. So, yeah, either one of those. With the Halloween event, the good thing is there's not really an activity you can do that is a lot slower than the rest. All of them are pretty similar, so it doesn't really matter. That's why it's really hard to do a video like this where it's like the best or fastest, because all of them are almost the same. The only one that's a huge difference is Corrupted Pumpkins for Corrupt Energy. But that is it for today's video. Hopefully you found this video useful. Again, this is the graphic on the screen if you would like to see it. It is in the description and in the pinned comment as well. Hopefully this helped some of you guys out. If you guys like Wild Horse Island's content, I do videos every single week, and I do live streams every Saturday and Sunday. So subscribe down below if you are not already, and I will see you guys on my next video or live stream. Bye everyone!